Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have GlobeStar Therapeutics Corporation. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol GSTC. And it's a healthcare company dedicated to bringing innovative, effective, and high-quality healthcare solutions to the medical community. Please welcome its CEO, Jim Katzaroff. Welcome, Jim.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. Listen, GlobeStar really is a very interesting company. I am the chairman of the board and the CEO, and I didn't know anything about multiple sclerosis until I walked into this position. Well, but let's start with the fact that we're a clinical stage pharmaceutical company with a bunch of patented formulation of previously approved drugs for the treatment of multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis we'll get into, but first of all, what's really important for those who have gone through FDA trials and the rest, we're using 3 previously approved drugs. Okay, and we went through some trials in Italy, and we're moving them here in the States. We have the patents in the States, and I'll go through that as we go through this whole thing. It's been shown to be very effective, and I'll give you the empirical numbers on that soon. Right now, I don't know if you know anybody with multiple sclerosis, but a year and a half ago or so, when I came into this, I had no idea how prevalent it is. You know, you got 800,000 here, about 2.6 million globally, and the center of multiple sclerosis activity, if you will, is the Pacific Northwest, which I happen to have moved to from New York and California. And to date, there's no known cure. There are over 22 different drugs out there, okay, but there's no known cure. There's over 15 billion spent on this here. It's the second highest chronic disease, and there's a lot to say. So what is multiple sclerosis? This is our solution set, but let me go through a little diatribe here for you. It's the autoimmune disease of the central nervous system, the brain, and the spinal cord, in which the insulating protective covering surrounding the nerves, called the myelin sheath, is destroyed or damaged, resulting in interference with the brain's signals to various parts of the body. So hard or firm scar tissue replaces those areas, hence multiple sclerosis, which means multiple scars in many patients. It's unpredictable, and no two people have it alike. It's very, very strange, and nobody knows how it formed, why this is continuing. But what are the symptoms? Well, loss of vision, weakness, numbness, imbalance, chronic fatigue. No two people have the same activity, if you will. And the uncertainty is a real problem. So the quality of life is diminished dramatically by getting this, because there are flares and symptoms, all sorts of problems. Well, let's go to our solution set. The Italian inventor had multiple sclerosis in his 20s. His dad was a wealthy banker. They traveled the world trying to find a solution set for him. They never found it. So they decided, let's get into a lab, let's get compounding, and let's see if we can come up with a magic formula. And they have, okay, or they apparently have, based on what we got out of Italy. 3 drugs, minocycline, which is zit cream, all right, it's tetracycline, all right, the fluconazole, which is athlete's foot, okay, and the atorvastatin, which I find very difficult to pronounce, is Lipitor. So in different amounts, these 3, as I'll show you in a moment, seem to be working better than anything else that's out there. And I said seem, so let's be careful here. I do know some people from the NIH are listening as well, so we appreciate it. We do have a patent. It's exclusive. And let me move down to All right, so there are different categories, if you will. And it's very sad. I have 2 friends now that I've found out about it. And it's very sad what happens to some of these people, because sometimes they can't get out of bed. So it's a very difficult thing for themselves and their family. And right now, all of the treatments are such that you have to go to the doctor and or to a pharmacy to get treated. Ours, as you see as we go through this presentation, is 2 pills a day, 12 hours apart, for only 45 days. And you can take it at home. Okay, so the quality of life here, there's hours and hours and hundreds of hours these people will save, assuming we have the same test results in this country as they did in Italy. All right, let's move on here. So some of the relapses, some of this stuff helps for them. Some modifying the progression is very important to everybody. You don't want to get worse. Okay, so there's all these different possibilities. Here's the drugs and their cost. Many of the drugs, we didn't have the most recent 3 or 4, but Basis and the 2 people I know who are taking this, who are taking some of these, whatever their regimen is, are paying over $105,000 to $120,000 each. Now, it's not going to make much sense to you, but our average cost is a fraction of this because it's 3 already pre-approved, well-used drugs being compounded. We'll come to the economics on that in a moment. So the initial clinical study had, of course, the different possibilities of multiple sclerosis. 90 people from 150 volunteers, all in Italy, various degrees of disability in their balance, and their fatigue, et cetera. They were under medical review every 15 days and received a 45-day treatment based on what I've already said. It's very, very exciting, as you can tell. I get excited. Oops. Can I go back? No, here we are. All right, so this oral combination from us, reduction, fatigue, bladder, balance, the improvements, the whole thing supports all 15 of our claims in the United States patent. So far, so good, right? We have to, I did miss one. Here we are. We do have to go through the FDA. We have been in meetings with Massachusetts General, which is Harvard's hospital. They couldn't take us. This was, of course, last year, early last year when COVID, everybody was still, healthcare and medical professionals left or refused to see anybody. So Mass General could not take us on. I went to my friends at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles. It was the same story. As much as I've done there, they said, we just don't have the personnel. We can't do you the right job. So I went up to Virginia Mason, Providence Health in Seattle, and they said the same thing. It's just the wrong time for us. So one of the interesting things is that I get calls from around the world every week from patients and doctors and or interested parties. And the key is we've got to find one of the places. So it looks like we might have, we'll see if we can land at the Cleveland Clinic soon. And stay tuned for that. I just can't tell you that it's going to happen, but I'm in massive discussions with a gentleman who ran a $1.2 billion division of a very well-known public drug company who thinks this could be spectacular. And I'd like nothing more than for him to step in and make this the billion-dollar company it can be. Let's see here. Where am I? Let's go to the revenue models. Here's the numbers. Look what our costs are. Maybe $6,500 for those 45 days. That's a little bit different. So, you can go 7 times that and you're spending $40-some-odd thousand, over the course of a year if you need to. Apparently, many of the Italian people have not needed more to continue with it. Well, that's pretty exciting. The opportunity, again, $26 billion by administration, injection and or oral. And the supply chain channel is difficult because they have to leave and go places and do this. They won't have to with us. Here are some of the revenue projections. And we're trying to not be too excited, which is difficult for a CEO, and it's difficult for some of the doctors who have truly rolled up their sleeves and dove into this. They're saying, this could be very exciting. And so one of the things we're trying to do is be one of the sponsors of Nancy Davis's MS race to defeat, and that's in mid-May. At that event, we should be hobnobbing some very interesting people that can also help us move forward. They work a lot down there with UCLA and San Francisco State, and a couple others, but that could be very exciting. But again, looking at what revenue looks like, it gets pretty exciting. But that's just, the icing on the cake. The reality is making the world a better place, giving a quality of life to people that, have had a terrible time. I'm very excited about it. Here's rest of the world revenue projections. We think we can penetrate the rest of the world faster than in the United States. There's a whole lot of subject matter as to why that may or may not be, but these are some of the numbers. Let's talk about some of us. All right, I've done several companies. Medical Isotopes is one of my favorites. Bill Farley does a lot of the regulatory developments for Sorrento, which is SRNE. It's trades, it's it's been a multi-billion-dollar company, market cap. It isn't right now, but markets are the markets. Steve Pendergast was a senior gentleman at Becton Dickinson, and he's the one who's tagged all the numbers and what cost is, what the supply chain looks like, et cetera. Brooke, we'll skip for now. Dr. Len Wisniewski, chairman of the Medical Advisory Board, and let me get a couple of things on him here. He has so many things that he's doing that I can't remember. Well, one of the great things about him is that he's on the NIH, he's the vice chairman, I think, of the NIH board for Frontier Medicine. And if that's not the exact name for it, please excuse me, but it's something very close to that. These three have been fantastic. I added another member to the advisory board, a gentleman named Kenan Spivak, Spivak, who I've known for decades, and we've done things around the world. Spivak's company is smigllc.com. That's smigllc.com. Take a look at the power that he brings and where he's going to help guide and navigate this company. And I hope that this other gentleman from the other larger company joins us as well. That's really about all I've got to say. There's a safe harbor at the end because I don't like to mess it up at the beginning. I can take questions. I'm very happy to go through whatever you'd like to go through, if there's anybody still there.
Yes. Zach Adonis asks, how is this being funded?
Well, we hired New York Bay Capital for a private placement. The document's not done, but we hired it and we go through it every week. So I can't tell you the dollar amount yet, but it's hefty. We also have got other friends that have come in and done a preferred series, okay, that ultimately converts to common. And other than that, we're all starving. It's a lean, mean machine, which unfortunately also is why the stock price is such undervalued, in my opinion, is because we have not been out there, hoofing the pavement. I have not been going to shows. This is the first thing I'm doing this year for the company, which I really appreciate Charles and yourself helping on spreading the word. This is something that is going to change the world, assuming everything pans out as it did in Italy. Okay, Zach?
Great answer. Gerald Park wants to know, when you say 3 previously approved drugs, can you detail those approvals, when, where, and how?
I'm not the doctor who can tell you when, where, or how, but I can tell you what they are and what they do, if you'd like a full paragraph on them.
Yes.
Okay, one moment, please. All right. We've got minocycline, which is the Zit cream. It's an oral tetracycline antibiotic used to treat bacterial infections, including respiratory and urinary tract infections. Drug is currently being studied for relapsing and remitting multiple sclerosis, or clinically isolated syndrome, referring to the first episode of neurologic symptoms that last at least 24 hours and are caused by the myelin damage that I mentioned earlier from the brain scars. The second drug is fluconazole. It's the athlete's foot one. All right. Fascinating, huh? A triazole antifungal used to prevent and treat a variety of fungal and yeast infections by stopping the growth of certain types of fungus. Studies using a combination of minocycline and fluconazole against fungal growth have been proven effective. The last one is basically Lipitor atorvastatin. I have a hard time with that word. Please forgive me. A statin, HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor, commonly used to lower blood levels of LDL cholesterol, increase the levels of HDL cholesterol, and to lower triglycerides. It's also an effective immunomodulatory agent shown to prevent autoimmune encephalomyelitis in animal model studies. I hope that kind of helps you, but I believe this will be up on YouTube tomorrow, and anybody can call me at any time.
Well, how do these 3 drugs apply to your new technology?
Well, they're compounded together in pill form. So it will be an oral regimen twice a day for 45 days. And then we have to have start points with MRIs and then end points with MRIs to see that we are doing good, not just feeling good, but doing good in the brain.
Adam Casey wants you to talk about your R&D, the team, the experience, the facility.
There is no facility today. With the private placement monies, we will have a home office, if you will. The experience, again, Dr. Wisniewski is on, I believe he's on the Georgetown University as faculty, I believe on George Washington faculty, University of Colorado faculty, and the NIH vice chairman, as I said, of the Frontier Medicines, I think it's what it's called. Bill Farley, of course, has had 40 years in the industry, does FDA filings in particular, well, from several companies, but he was brought to me by New York Bay Capital, and he's very active in Sorrento, SORRENTO, or symbol SRNE. And the other member on the board today is Steve Pendergast, who is a senior gentleman at Becton Dickinson, who I knew through another company as well. And he is unbelievable with sourcing, doing the commercial work. Okay. And he knows who's going to go to market with us. I'm very confident in these guys' abilities, much more than mine. I'm just a ringleader.
Well, then let's talk about your abilities. Suresh Krishnan wants to know, what is your revenue projection in 5 years' time?
It was on the screen. One moment. Let's go back. Where's number? North American revenue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How about 2.7 billion? If we take over the market, first of all, let's be serious here. We're all in the market. All right. The stock will be gone. Somebody will take it. Unless we continue talking with another firm that would like to partner with us, and we'll see how that goes. But projections have been scrubbed pretty heavy, and maybe it's too optimistic. Cut them in half. I mean, this has already been cut, and this is just North America. So let's go to. Here's the rest of the world, which could be a lot faster, maybe not. But penetrating should be easier based on the people that I know in the company and outside of the company.
Okay. Well, Tom Bonner, Arthur J., and Janet Welch want to know, can you discuss what share structure will look like when any dilution is finished?
I can't yet. We don't have the corporate engineering done yet. I just can't. Obviously, I'll keep everybody appraised, and I'll tell you the honest what we're doing, when we're doing. But there is no hurry right now. This is an opportunity. Trading where it is. It did trade 8 cents last year, right when we went to the first conferences. But that was a different market. April, May, June was a different market.
Dan Sandoval wants to know, how much money do you need to raise and over what period of time to make this the billion-dollar company that it can be?
All right. Good question. Well, the first major tranche with New York Bay Capital is 8 figures. And I can't discuss the exact number, but you can kind of figure out it's not going to be 50 million. It's not going to be 10 million. And then after that, it's a little difficult to tell because how much infrastructure will we have to do, because there are compounders out there. I think the largest in the country is in Miami that wants to work with us. So it's not like there's a ton more of R&D, assuming the test came out right. And we'll know that this year.
Okay. Craig Nichols says he met you at Mar-a-Lago. And he's wondering, this is the same product and med that you presented at that conference. And if so, has anything changed? And there was an interest on the federal level. Is that still happening?
I'm sorry. The second part, I coughed. Sorry.
Okay. He said he remembers there was an interest on the federal level. Is that still happening?
I'm not sure what he means by federal level. Are you talking about the armed services?
I don't know. I wasn't at Mar-a-Lago.
So the answer is yes. Is yes. And yes, for our government in general, I work not necessarily closely, but I work with our Washington State governor, and we're trying to get some of the things together. This company, I've not applied for any grants. We've done this all bootstrap. I'm pretty comfortable that New York Bay is going to close this private placement sometime in the next month or so. And that really kicks that off. And if in fact this other gentleman does join us, either on the board or advisory role to start with, then that's a big boost to us as well. And again, I will talk about my friend Kenan Spivak. Make sure you go check out his website, smigllc.com. We've got some international things that could kickstart this very quickly.
Michael Thomas is asking if you're looking for a buyout.
No, I just assume, having done this for 40 years, I do assume that at some point, one of the other guys who are in the markets already, who can see a greater return on investment by taking us out when we start proving things. So I'm not looking to sell this company today. I think we've got some proving to do. It's the old Lucy thing. Like you got some proving to do here.
Praveen Anand says, will there be a reverse split or authorized shares increase in the near future?
Well, at some point, I can't tell you when the near future is because we haven't gone through the corporate engineering yet. Those very difficult discussions are coming up in May.
Okay. Kyle Klotz wants to know, how close to FDA trials are you?
Well, as soon as one of the key opinion leaders, which we have, but as soon as a hospital group, like I was talking about, Mass General, Cedars-Sinai, Virginia Mason Clinic, Providence, and Cleveland Clinic, as soon as one of them have got the room for us, and we're now hoping Cleveland Clinic, whatever the full regimen is, it'll be announced and on target. And like I said, I'm going to be down in Beverly Hills in May, meeting with a bunch of the other doctors from UCLA and San Francisco State and a couple others.
Greg Stroff wants to know, when will they know about the Cleveland Clinic? And if it falls through, what's the backup plan?
Well, the backup plan, I just mentioned that I'll be down in Southern California with a bunch of other doctors. But if something falls through, it falls through. I mean, you just got to keep going. You knock on the door, you're selling this product. People are going, oh my gosh, if this can work. But if they don't have the personnel, what can I say? It's unfortunate. In a different time, this thing would be already off and running, and we'd be giving quality of life to so many people. So,
Al Ramos asks, what are the terms of your preferred that convert to common?
It's a 25% discount. You can look it up in the filings.
Okay. And Sonia Carter, you can possibly close with this if we're run out of time, but she wants to know, where are you now? What milestones have you surpassed? And what are the next few hurdles you must get over? Give us a little bit of a timeline.
That's a great question. The reality is that I'd like to bring on this other person. I'd like to get to the Cleveland Clinic. I'd like to get the protocols done. The indications, we understand. In fact, let me see. I got a cheat sheet here. It won't help. But one of these clinics at some point will take us on. And if it won't be here, it will be more likely than not in India, okay, to start with. Those discussions continue on. So it's any time. We're pushing as fast and as hard as we can under these circumstances. And it's difficult for me sometimes after I hear from a guy who calls me as a patient or his brother or sister or uncle, and they're going like, "Oh, come on." It's like, it's not that easy. The money is the easier part than getting the hospital to put personnel and resources behind it. During this last year, it's very frustrating.
I can only imagine. Well, Jim, if you have any closing remarks, you're welcome to end now with us. This has been a really great conversation with you.
Well, anybody who needs to call me, call me. My number's all over the place. My email's at the end of this as well. I'll take your call. If I can't talk to you then, within 24 hours, I will call you back. And try not to call and yell at me, though. That's not fun. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you for hosting. Great job.
We appreciate you joining us. Come back again with some updates.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Stay with us. We'll be right back.